Are you securely attached in relationships and love? And number one, what does that mean? And number two, why should you care, right? A lot of you are going to be watching this and you're thinking, I already know what secure attachment is. Cool. We're going to get really deep into it. But for those of you who don't, essentially there's 4 types of attachment style. We have secure, avoidant, anxious, and the last one is called disorganized. I've heard it called a number of different things, but that's the first way I heard it being called, so I use that one. And essentially this dictates how we're going to respond in love and relationships, right? So if we're avoidant, we're going to often run away, right? We're just, oh, I feel really trapped, I'm going to get going. Anxious is often that I really need them, to make me feel okay, right? So often anxious leads to a lot of neediness, and actually we go towards someone. Often we have that loop of avoidant and anxious people find each other, and the avoidant person will be running away, the anxious person will be running towards them. And finally we have disorganized, which is kind of like where you got a little bit of both, right? You just get a fun little chaotic mix of the two. And so you might be anxious one moment, I really, really need them, and the next moment you're actually really avoidant and you're running away. So that can be tricky to deal with as well. Whereas secure is not that I'm perfect in relationship, not that we don't have any problems, but I'm not moving towards, I really need them and I'm running away. I'm just really able to engage in intimacy and enjoy that and actually love someone in a really, really healthy way. Okay. Now, why does this even matter? Why should you actually care? Well, supposedly, within a relationship, you need one person to be securely attached for it actually to continue, for it actually to last. If you have 2 people who are any of the below 3, avoidant, anxious, or disorganized, it's not going to work. Now we've got to take that with a pinch of salt, but that is supposedly the science around it. Now, we don't have to believe that. We can take it with a pinch of salt. But it's certainly easier to be in relationship and love when we're secure. It certainly makes things a lot more enjoyable. And it means you're not fighting against yourself and you're actually able to really enjoy a relationship. But we have to get really curious. We have these 4 types. By the way, there are actually a lot more, but these are the 4 main types. And we might get really curious what actually gets in the way of us being secure, right? We've just heard Cameron saying that secure really matters. If I'm not secure, then it's going to be very hard for me to have a real deep long-term relationship, and I really want that. Awesome. So how do we become secure? And the truth is, security is something that we don't necessarily become, but we just remove the things that are making us anxious, avoidant, disorganized. And so what's actually getting in the way of us getting rid of those things? And this is where we come to our shadow work, to our deep inner healing. And we actually see that there's 3 types of shadow: introject, projection, and split ego. And that is what's often getting in the way of us being deeply secure, right? We might have taken on an introject, a false belief, a lie about the world. And now we're living with that introject. So instead of being able to receive and enjoy intimacy, we're living through a lie about what that means, what it should be, and we're not actually able to even receive or enjoy it. Projection. We might see someone out there and project all of our wonderful parts of ourselves, right? There may be a deep love in us, a deep radiance, a wonderful, just amazing version of us, yet we project it outside of us. They may be an amazing person, but they may just carry traits that allow us to project outside of us. And so now we've split ourselves in 2. We say they complete me. We say they are my twin flame. Without them, I am nothing. And what happens is now I've split myself down the middle, so I need them. And so of course, if I've split a part of myself outside of me, I'm gonna wanna go get that. And that's gonna make me really anxious, right? Because if they're not responding in the right way, then it feels like part of myself is leaving, even though that is my energy. That can be reclaimed. So that's what we do with projection. We actually reclaim it. We allow it to come back to us. We allow ourselves to become that full, complete version of ourselves. And finally, we have a split ego, right? We may actually not have too many introjects, not have too many projections, but we may have one part of us that feels like, I really want to be really adventurous, right? And I feel like I can't do that in relationship. And you have one part that's like, well, actually, I really love relationship. I really love being in intimacy with someone else. So we have these two parts that want different things. But when we allow them to come into union, to really see the core desires of what they want, and actually get rid of maybe some of those introjects they've taken on, they're going to come into union, and we're not going to be fighting against each other or fighting against yourself towards relationship, and you can just go full steam ahead if it's aligned for you. So let's look at a few examples of that. I think one of my favorites is the projection. And this is what I notice a lot with folks who are maybe on the anxious side of attachment style, is they really almost split a part of themselves. And they need this other person to be worthy, to be loved, right? That person is no longer just a human, maybe a really amazing human, but that human is now the permission for their own receptivity of love. One thing I'll ask you, when you felt that wonderful love of someone really loving you, where did you feel that? In your body, right? You felt that inside of you. So what that means is that even that receptive love, because often people think when they're reclaiming love, they're reclaiming the giving of love that they've kind of conceptualized. But actually, that feeling of deeply receiving love, that we feel like it comes out from outside of us, that's actually our feeling. That's actually ours. And so we can actually reclaim a lot of that receptivity of love and really feel that 24/7. And we might have stories around that. I'm being loved by the universe. I'm being loved by God. It doesn't matter what our idea about it is, but we can actually deeply experience the receiving of love throughout our entire life, 24/7, not because someone gave us permission to do that, right? Not because my partner is acting in the way I want, so now I give myself permission to feel the receptivity of love. I just get to feel that 24/7. And then what happens, and I always notice this with clients, is they'll start to be able to receive their partner's love in whatever way their partner is doing it, right? We have these things of kind of preferred love styles, right? Love language, that's the word. You know, I might prefer acts of service or physical touch. My partner might have different ways that they do it. And so when we're in this kind of conditional, for me to feel the receiving of love, it has to be done in this specific way. We're going to get really anxious, needy, and probably resentful and angry towards our partner. Yet when we re-own that for ourselves, I get to walk around 24/7. When I'm cooking, when I'm in the shower, when I'm waking up, when I'm doing this video, I can just be in that receptivity of love. Not because someone out there has given me permission, but just because I can, because I've re-owned that for myself. So now when my partner shows up, and maybe my favorite thing is I really love when they just kind of know what I need or want and just, I don't know, make me something that just, I just need it in that moment. That's like maybe the best thing for me. But actually they're really into physical touch. So they don't do that, but they just come and they give me a really nice hug. Maybe that's not my preferred love language, but I can still receive that deep love. See, oh, actually they really love me. That's just their way of doing it. And maybe we'll get into a little bit more of our preferences and we can discuss it and we can do that for one another. That's not a problem. That's a great thing. But if it's coming from a lack, if I'm resentful, why did they hug me? I wanted them to do this, right? Or the other way around. This is probably more of a common thing where actually you might really love a physical intimacy, the quality time. But for them, it's about acts of service. It's about gift giving. So they're giving you all these gifts, or they're performing acts of service. Maybe they're doing stuff around the house, or they're kind of keeping a roof over your head and just working really hard, and that's them giving all this love. but we don't see it because they're not giving us quality time or physical intimacy, right, or physical touch. And so when we don't have that, we feel, oh, they're bad, they're resentful, they don't love us. But they're feeling, I'm giving all of this, I'm loving so much, and they're not receiving it. And yet when we reclaim our own internal deep well of receptive love, and I'm just feeling that all the time, now I might see, oh, actually, they really do love me. They're doing all of this. They're giving this to me because that's their way of expressing it. And now I can receive that and I can feel that love from them through me. And now we have this beautiful relationship where we're not resentful or angry. And often what happens is when we're not resentful or angry or trying to make them do it a certain way, people often get more giving, right? Both partners. Because we're both in appreciation and love for one another. But of course, that honeymoon period of like, you just want to give to them, that comes out even more, but in a sustainable way, not as that initial rush of a new relationship. And so what tends to happen here as well is that I've noticed clients, then they go and see their family and they go, oh, Dad's actually really loving to me. I always thought he was cold and didn't care, but he keeps making me all this food, right? And he keeps caring about me in kind of a stoic way. And it's a way like, all right, it's a bit different to me. Maybe I'm more affectionate. I really love being genuine people and like intimate with people, but Dad's a little bit more stoic, more reserved. But he keeps making me all this food. He really cares. What time are you getting to the airport? Make sure he's there. He's 5 minutes early. Wow, that's so loving of him. Maybe I didn't even see that before. Or maybe Mum does it in a totally different way, but I couldn't even see, and now I get to receive that. And so this is the beauty of reclaiming the love for ourselves, right? Not even of that giving love, right? I'm going to give love to myself, because often that's still in the giving way. I found that with myself and with clients, that actually feels like, oh, more giving love to myself. And so what we always do is we might start off that and then reclaim that coming in. And then we let them switch into the perspective of the part of them receiving love. And they're now realizing they're generating the receptive love rather than even the giving love. And that's often more satiating and fulfilling than if we're just giving love to ourselves, right? Because we actually get to experience it. And then it might start in this small bubble within ourselves. Then what often happens is we start feeling almost it coming outside of us towards us. And it's really beautiful. It expands so much that we're just walking through a day, we're feeling love from everyone, right? Maybe even when they're not being particularly nice, it doesn't mean we deny it, right? It doesn't mean we have no boundaries, we have no preferences. We have all of this intact. But we're able to experience love for all of it, right? And this comes from bottom up rather than top down. So this doesn't come from me going, it's actually all love, a belief-based system, I'm just going to convert everything to love. This comes from doing the practice, really reowning the projection that love is outside of me, allowing it to come towards me, allowing myself to be in that receptive love. And then we just start noticing things throughout our life without trying. And so that's a beautiful example of often what can happen with people with anxious attachment style. Now, let's be real clear, this is one example. These are broad terms. Someone who's anxious may come to me and have completely different experience where actually we need to release some kind of introjects or work with a split ego. And it's a different realm of shadow work that we're doing to help them become secure, right? So just because I said it one way doesn't mean that it's not going to be a different way for you, even if you're also anxious. Then we might notice the avoidant. This is another example where I've worked with avoidance. And they say, I just feel so trapped in relationship. I just feel so trapped, right? And they get angry because they project the trappedness on their partner. But in reality, they've chosen to be in this relationship, right? They've chosen to enter into a relationship and intimacy with someone. They may feel trapped. That's understandable, right? We completely hold unconditional love for this, but it's being created by the internal constructs. And so we get curious, well, what about the relationship is making you feel trapped? Well, I feel I have to stay. And this is a big one. And it's a little scary because often people who feel like they have to stay, they want to run away, right? It's a paradox, right? When we feel like we have to stay, we actually often want to leave. But when we feel like we can stay or we cannot, we're completely free to make whatever decision is right for us. We're not locked in. We actually go, oh, wow, my partner's pretty great. I'm going to stay here. They're really nice. I really love them. They're really wonderful. And so we might find these interjects and we might find this have to stay. And we might get even more curious. When did you learn this? I have to stay. Well, I have to stay because otherwise they're going to get really mad at me and they're going to hate me and they're never going to love me. Interesting. And then we might find, oh, maybe when they were younger, they had maybe a parent who was like a little bit anxious or needy. And if they would do anything that was separate, maybe they were just being a teenager, they were going out enjoying their youth and finding new friends, the parent would get angry and resentful at them for living their independent life, right? It's quite a common one. And so we just get curious, what meanings did we take on? And it might be a mixture of introject and projection work, right? It might be the releasing the introject, that I have to stay, that their emotions are mine, but I'm in charge of their emotional state and experience, because that's not true. We might feel the freedom that comes with it. And then we may even have to do some projection, but actually, I'm also, not only am I releasing that I don't need to take charge of their emotions, but I'm actually re-owning the moral authority to decide that I'm not bad. I wasn't wrong, right? Maybe I gave moral authority to mom or dad because I was young, and now they get to decide if I'm bad or not. And for them, bad means me maybe living an independent, fruitful, youthful life. And so I start interpreting that as being, I'm bad, I'm wrong, I'm doing all this terrible stuff. And so now we project that onto our partner. But when we re-own it, actually, no, I'm the moral authority of my life. I can take on guidance, but I get to decide the values I want to live by. And I'm not in charge of their emotions. And I can stay or I can go. I'm truly free now from all of that. And we hold that. And we let that really embed. And we feel, I'm free in this relationship and I'm free outside of it. Both is true. But trapped feeling doesn't need to be there. When I'm in relationship with my partner and we're having a wonderful time, I don't have to feel trapped because it's going well. And so now we enter that relationship and we feel free. And for a lot of you people who have felt avoidant at times, you might remember the experience of before a relationship. Often you're really just in that wonderful intimacy with someone. You're really enjoying it, right? There's no labels, so the construct around trappedness doesn't get triggered. So you're just able to enjoy the person in front of you. Well, the same thing happens now, except it's able to happen within a relationship as well. Doesn't mean that you guys will be together forever. You may find there's incompatibility or preference or different things coming on. But what you'll probably find is that you'll feel that deep freedom. I can stay, I can go. And you enjoy it more. You appreciate your partner more. You'll be able to receive appreciation from them more. And so we go into that experience and we go, oh, wow. I'm really enjoying this relationship. Of course, I can leave if I want to. There's no shackles on my hand. It's gone. And yet I choose to stay. And it really gets to be a choice. And your partner will feel that. They'll feel, oh, wow, okay, this person's changed. They feel more free to be with me. And what you're going to notice, and this is where it's really, really beautiful, is when we do have one secure partner in the relationship, it makes it a lot easier for that to go further, even if the other person has an anxious or avoidant or a disorganized temperament, right? They can do their healing. That's amazing if you're both secure, but one person can make the biggest of differences. right? Because they're not gonna get triggered by the other person as much, and you're gonna be able to hold that space for you both to actually continue a relationship together if that's something you want to do. And so when we do this work and we actually remove introject projections and we unify the split egos, we naturally become into this realm of secure. I'm calling it a realm because this is not some binary. You're not secure or suddenly anxious or suddenly avoidant or suddenly disorganized. There will be moments in life where you're probably more secure, moments in life where anxiousness or disorganized or avoidance might be triggered. And then we heal that so that you're secure 80 to 90 to 95% of the time. Maybe 5% you still get triggered, that's okay. I'm not trying to be perfect here. But the more we can realm into just that secureness, the easier relationship's going to be and the more enjoyable it's going to be. Because it's not fun to be in a relationship where you're just in this anxious neediness. And it's not fun to be in a relationship where you feel that trapped feeling on your heart. It's not fun at all. So when we liberate ourselves, we give ourselves the opportunity to love deeply, freely, and have just the most wonderful relationships we can think of.